Hi, welcome to Octagon Garage. My name is Robert, and today we're in Tacoma, Washington at Delta Camshaft. We're going to take a tour today and meet John, the owner, and get to see how camshafts are reground and reconditioned. So let's go on inside.
Piston, if you go get it, you're getting switched to the piston.
Oh, so now you're changing this row.
You'd have it was 321 cubic foot flathead.
Good afternoon, this is John at Delta Camshaft, and today we're going to do a little tour and for the Octagon Garage. You can throw it up on their YouTube channel. We're going to kind of show you the basics about cam grinding. There's a couple things I can't show you, kind of proprietary secrets of the industry or whatever you want to say, but for the most part, I'm going to give you guys the full show. So let's go. Let's take a peek in the shop. Back here in this area is all of our finished inventory, all the camshafts that are boxed up, ready to go. These are a lot of the familiar stocking items that are constantly ordered all the time. Small block Chevy 214, great power cam, phenomenal. Use them a lot for the motorhomes, just a great torque camshaft. You get some of these other ones down here, a little bit more performance oriented, some solids. The Comp 280 profile is here, the 270 Magnums there. One of the things about a camshaft profile is a mathematical equation, so there's no way to protect it from other people using it for their use, like a copyright or patent or anything like that. It's a mathematical equation, and you go out a certain number of spots past the decimal place and it will change, so there's no real way to protect it. A majority of our tooling is actually based off the CompCams profile line because they have such a huge variety and so well-written literature to back up their profiles and what specs produce what sort of RPM bands and sort of. That's what we use. A majority of our recommendations are based off the CompCams line because they have such great literature. They have a phenomenal, obviously CompCams is a multi-million-dollar a year company. They spend probably about $10 million a year on advertising budget. So that's why their website, all their data, all their information is extremely well written. So that's what we use to base our camshaft recommendations off of. So yeah, we have everything, LS Chevy camshafts, earlier ones that used to be the 2.2 liter Cavalier in the early 80s. It used to be popular. You see it's got quite a bit of dust on it now. Obviously that engine isn't in production too much anymore. We actually did a camshaft for a Chevy Chevette about a month ago, and before that camshaft I haven't done one of those in probably 15 years. These camshafts here for the 2.46 liter AMC engine, which is used in postal Jeeps. We grind the camshafts for a company that has a contract, so we do quite a few of those. There's some Model A stuff up there. These are the more frequently used, constant, off the shelf type grinds that we can have them pre-cut and ready to go. Or if a customer ordered one custom and never came by to pick it up, had a cracked block or something, they'll sit on our shelves for a while. This is a lifter Tappet grinding machine. You see these are a set of the lifters that Zane did this morning. And this machine cuts the surface that rides against the camshaft. See how nice and smooth that is. And he also does the valve tip end. It's a flathead setup, some sort of industrial 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of them. Interesting. Might be a little 5-cylinder or oh, there's a couple more over here that aren't done yet. So there's two here that aren't finished yet. You can see what they look like before. See that big chip in there? We're gonna try to get that out of there for the most part. That's a big chip and really deep, so we're gonna probably end up cleaning up a majority of the face and then chamfering that. And then there's the tip side of it. These are some early Continentals for a 6-cylinder. There's 12 of them. So this machine is really simple. Slide that in there, lock the collet, lock the tooling in place, and it comes over. Gently touches the surface. Just bring it out. Oh, this little bugger got wet. Nice clean surface on there. And this, we adjusted here and put a little bit of an angle on it. And that causes the 2/1000 over 1 inch crown on it, which forces the lifter to rotate. So that's a pretty primitive machine. It's very vital to have. Obviously, you're going to want new lifters on a new camshaft surface. They're wear-mated parts, so you're definitely going to want to have that. We do a lot of the newer hydraulic stuff. We don't really resurface too much. Here's a set of 32 valve North Star lifters that are hydraulically actuated, and these are very expensive on the open market, so the guy actually had to surface it. So we're able to resurface this face and then clean out the internals, put some fresh oil in them, and we got his cams are ground finished up yesterday, so these will be shipped out today. And we're also able, we have a whole bunch of the early 80s and late 70s Honda rocker arms, some Mazda, Mitsubishi, stuff like that we don't really get too much call for anymore. These are the early Chevy love. You know, not going to do a ton of those anymore, but it's very nice to have the ability to produce them if someone's lost one or broken one, because these cars are still out there running around. We just did a was it a 2.2 liter Isuzu diesel out of a Chevy Love pickup truck, and the kid was looking around online for over 2 years and couldn't find anything, and then he stumbled across us somehow. He's out of Arizona. He sent him up here. We were able to redo his cam and his rocker arms, and that guy is my new best friend. I guarantee you this year he's going to send me a Christmas card.
Those things are as rare as hen's teeth.
Yeah, you will never ever find another one. I told him to insure it for $1,000 when he sent it up here, and he insured it for $1,000, and we got it done and sent it back down to him. So it was part of me wants to throw away this old stuff because it's just packing it around when we moved and stuff like that. And then the other part is like, well, just hold on to it. Maybe someone, and I think that's probably my Grandpa Jack and his hoarding from way back in the day. Don't throw that away. As soon as you throw it away, you're going to need it. So I've kept this stuff forever. We have a whole area over here filled full of old rocker arm assemblies that I'll probably never use or get around to. But if you need it, we'll have it. So that back here is the core storage area. These are all the cam cores that we're using more frequently are all stored here. All the stuff that needs repaired, if it's a very valuable core, we'll save it. If it's like a small block Chevy with a weld, we'll scrap it out, no problem. We got lots of those.
Just mountains of camshafts.
There's probably, I would guess, in excess of 800,000 cam cores that we have in this area here, over here, over here. Then over here in this area here is all bulk storage of identical casting numbers. Just each one of those engine boxes probably about 200, 250 cam cores in each box. That's just stored for bulk. Look at a camshaft. A majority of our cam cores we deal with a company over in Spokane called S&J Engines. And they produce probably about 50% of our cam cores. They send in a pallet, probably 6 or 7 pallets a month. And you see the cams come in, they're oily like this. This is a big block Chevy cam. It's oily, so then we take it from here. Oh, put it into our spray cabinet here. What this will do is we'll clean the oil off of it. And once it rides around in here for just a couple minutes, we'll take the oil off it. Then we'll take that camshaft and we'll put it into this tumbler, ceramic media tumbler. This is a little hard ceramic. So this is one of the old camshafts that we got in the warehouse deal. You can see the mains have a little bit of surface rust on them. You put it in there for about 25 to 30 minutes and it'll end up coming out looking like this. The mains are cleaned up. The surface rust is gone. You can see where the surface rust was, but everything's all cleaned up on it. And now from here, I'll chip these rocks out, go over to the polisher, polish the mains, and put this back on the shelf. Well, let me go ahead and fire this up for you real quick so you can see the actuation. It's a ceramic media bath, basically. We run the solvents pumped up through a spray bar. It's pumped in, and as it rolls around and tumbles with the offset weight, excuse me, the solvent will wash all the particulates down into the bucket. Every single night, all the particulates will settle to the bottom of the bucket. In the morning, it'll be clean solvent again, basically, which is really pretty cool. Back in the old days, we used to run 4 of these machines with no spray cabinet, and the oil would actually dirty up the solvent. So we go through about 15 55-gallon drums a year, and those drums are $800 a piece. That's quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
So now we spray the oil off in the cabinet, and then we're able to utilize this, and we go through maybe 3 barrels a year now. So that's a huge savings. Let me go ahead and fire it up. The only problem with this machine, it has a little bit of noise. Do you have a question or?
Nope.
Okay.
We're good to go on that.
This company, I'll go over here. This is the other tumbler that we do the rock arm and lifters in. It's a more abrasive ceramic media. It's a lot softer. It breaks down a lot quicker than the cam one. The cam is used, these little ceramic media pieces are used to break up the carbon and particulates and the rust that are on the camshaft. This is more of a finishing type polishing. You see the surface where the rock arm is? It's nice. It's a good polishing. Same action, just a different media. It's a great tool that we use for both applications. Are very, it does the exact job that we need it to do. The only issue is these little rocks get stuck between the lobes. You have to chip them out. But other than that, it's probably, I feel that we have one of the better cleaning processes that the industry has for camshaft cleaning. There's some other people that used to high temperature bake them, then that would burn off the oils and the carbon and stuff like that. But then they don't really have a proper way to gently remove it. And that's what these little ceramic chunks do. So I think we got that pretty figured out. It seems to work. Now, once they come out of this, they get degreased in the spray cabinet. Then from there they go into the tumbler to get the carbon and stuff built up, knocked off them. And from here they go back into the spray cabinet to wash the solvent off. And then they're basically a clean part. There's the other one that I showed you here, but then from here they go out to the pre-grinding quality control. If you got a second, I'll show you the welding area real quick. So this is our induction heater. So what this machine is designed to do is to preheat the cast iron. So if, let's say you lost the lobe on your flat tappet camshaft and they're not replaceable or something, and you want to weld that one lobe back on there to get her back to the performance you had before, this is going to preheat it. The water is being pumped into the unit right now. The water is electrified inside there and put at a high rate of speed. The water that's electrified is traveling around these copper coils. It creates a magnetic field in there, which creates the molecular structure of the cast iron to vibrate. And the vibration of the metal creates friction internally, and it'll create it, it causes heat, which is really cool. The only area is going to be affected is what's between the outer perimeter of the coil. And then if I was actually going to be welding this, I'd have my welding helmet on, I'll heat it up, and then while it's still orange hot, I'd pull it out, put it in the welding V-blocks, and add the material. So we have identical temperature materials. We have the orange hot cam core and the new melted metal. So you have 100% bonding there between the two identical metals at identical temperatures. So let's go ahead and fire this baby up. You see that the heat is only going to be in that one little area.
What kind of temperatures are we looking at here?
Orange hot.
Orange hot.
I'm not sure. It's, I'm guessing. That's actually a good question. Obviously, it's probably got to be somewhere in there over 1,000 degrees. I'm not sure exactly what the melting point is. It just gets a very deep. So you want to run it one cycle like that to put the heat in the core.
Okay.
And let it start to cool down a little bit until it starts to turn the black darkness again. That's just letting the heat soak into the core.
Yep.
And like right now, I've hit it. Get it back hot. Right now, I hit it, I pull it out, throw it up in the V-blocks, and start welding the lobe. And while the lobe is still orange hot, then we go into the quench bath, which is a glycol-based quench, which brings the surface temperature or the surface hardness back to OEM spec, or actually sometimes even harder than OEM. So this process is only done for the cast iron camshafts. The steel camshafts, we use a different process. You just melt the base material as you're adding the hard face rod. That's one of the things I can't tell you what rod we use. It's kind of a secret thing. Yeah. There's not a whole lot about this. It's top secret. That's kind of one of them. It took us a long time to get the proper rod, a lot of research and development with a lot of guys doing a lot of stuff, and we got it figured out, and that's the only rod that we use for all of our steel repairs. So it's great. Let's go ahead and I'll turn the pump off here. We'll go out.
Okay.
Check out the other part of the shop.
Here's another angle of all the camshafts. They're bulk storage for cores. It's just amazing. Just a mountain of camshafts. Everywhere you go are camshafts. Really cool.
Over here are some of the repairs that I welded this morning, and I almost dropped that camera. Had a little bit of that quench stuff on my fingertips. This lobe was starting to fail, so we went in, and that's what a finished cast iron weld looks like. It looks kind of like a dilapidated caterpillar nest or some little cocoon or something. But once we get it on the machine and get it rough cut and then side dressed, it'll just look like these lobes right here have been welded also. So it'll end up looking like that when we're done. So that was a lobe weld. This one right here had a fuel pump that failed, so we welded the fuel pump back on there. Like I said, the welding for camshafts has to be mechanically sound, not visually appeasing to the eyes. This is a Mitsubishi Eclipse, a big high-dollar race camshaft. I think two of these cams go for like $1,200, so they're about 600 bucks a piece. This guy lost a little roller wheel on his rocker arm, chewed up the lobe where he didn't want to use it again, So I went in and laid in, this is some hard face rod, and laid it on there to fix that lobe.
See, that's what's so great about your service. You can take a part that's very expensive to replace,
Yeah.
and you guys can fix it and regrind it.
Yeah, that part might not even be, that guy might have his race car down for 4, 5, 6, 7 months. Those are Kelford cams. They're very expensive out of Australia. They might not even have another run of those cut till next year. So hey, here's another sample of what we do. This is a big block Chevy, and his tie bar on his roller lifters broke, so it destroyed those 2 lobes. So now you have a $380 to $400 cam that's basically junk because you can't reuse it. Come in here, these welds are $25 each. So you got $50 in the welds, and we're going to grind it for about another $50. So he'll be back in action for less than $100.
Yeah.
So, and then
And you guys have got a fast turnaround time too. I know you're busy right now, but
we're busy. We have some machine issues we're dealing with, and employee issues. We got a lot of breakage going on this week. That's the word for the week, is breakage.
breakage.
So, yeah, machine, employee, and the window to the van. So here's a small block Chevy roller camshaft, and this is what happens when people just order parts randomly through eBay or whatever and don't know what they're actually getting. He got a flat tappet camshaft fuel pump rod.
Yeah.
So it ate the load right off his roller camshaft. So we went in there and laid the hard face weld on there. I'll go ahead and index, get the tooling set up, and then recut that out. So this guy's camshaft will be back in action tomorrow. So that's what's nice. We do basically all the repairs in-house. The only thing we don't do is hard face chrome, which is something that we only do on Mercedes rock arms anyway. So it's basically, we haven't done a set of those rock arms in a long time. So basically the only thing we're not able to repair is if the camshaft is broken in half, or the gears. We don't have any sort of gear hobbing machine to recut the gears. If you have a little chip in one, we're able to sometimes weld that little chip and go in there and hand machine it back to get it functional again. But for the most part, everything else we do in-house, so it works out real well. These are all the camshafts that are prepped, ready to go for grinding. Over here is let me grab a sample here. Here's one. It's just a small block Chevy camshaft. I'm just going to show you real quick how we're able to straighten them. And I'm actually going to bend this camshaft intentionally, so I'm not doing any harm. No animals or feet or anything are harmed during this video. Put a little hit, bend it. The steel camshafts have kind of a memory, like a leaf spring. And then the cast iron camshafts, they're dummies. They don't have any memory. So I whacked it a good one here. We're going to force it to get bent. So you can see we're bent about 10 thousandths. So we're going to go half the distance. So we're moving. We go half the high and low. So we're putting the high spot down. And then what we're going to do with the air hammer is hit it across the back here. We're going to release the tension that I put in here when I whacked it on the floor. So basically it's like going to the chiropractor. We're going to release the tension that I forced into it. And then when I release that tension, it's going to flex up higher than it was before. A lot of the misconceptions are that this hammer pushes the camshaft down, which it doesn't. It actually releases the stress and allows it to flex higher. I have to hit it again. It's going to take a little bit. This one's getting pretty wet. This was really done. Sometimes they pop right back in. This was, of course, for the video purposes, I'm gonna end up getting a stubborn one, but you see we're drawing it back in now.
Yeah.
So we go half the throw. We're down to less than 10 now. And you can see there's another video of this, a little bit more effective, quicker on my YouTube channel. But you can see the.
Wow, look at that.
Less than 2,
Yeah.
so we'll half the distance. There we go.
Wow.
Straight. So that's how we straighten them. The same process for the steel camshafts. The steel camshafts usually are not going to be this bent. The camshafts that are bent the most are actually the new camshafts that we buy in. Like a customer will bring in a comp cams that he got on sale at the swap meet or whatever, bring it in here. We'll check it. Usually they'll be bent 3 to 5 thousandths, which isn't that much. Sometimes it'll slide in the block, but sometimes that will not allow it to slide in the cam bearings. But that's the way that we straighten them. We check it here before it goes off to the machine. When the camshafts are in the machine, they're run on centers. So we'll verify that the cams are good, that the centers are true, less than 1 thousandths. And then once the cam is verified good, less than 1 thousandths on the center, then we check it for straight. Once it's straight, then it gets some blue painting and usually a part number marked in the butt end of it. That's how we identify that it's our camshaft. And then we also use a little red pen to signify that it's a custom order. So there's the blue paint, the red pen, and then the cam markings on the butt.
254.
Yep, 240 duration at 50, 254 on the exhaust. So that's what that cam is going to get ground to. Then from here, one of the things, every custom cam that comes in the door gets a custom grind slip, and it travels with the camshaft on the way over, all the way through the whole shop. Has the grind slip with it. Allows us to do. We keep these for 5 years. It has the cam, the grind number, what tooling was placed on it, what the lobe separation was, who the customer was, and the date. So maybe let's say you're getting ready to build your MGB and you ordered a cam for it and it's been in your garage for a year and now you're finally getting around to putting it together this winter coming up, and you're like, oh man, I don't have my cam card or something like that, but it's already installed in the block, so you don't know what's our tooling numbers. So you can call back or use our invoice or the date that you ordered it from us, and we're able to backtrack to these slips and find out what grinders put on there. So,
Gee, there's the MGB camshafts that came from Octagon Garage.
there they are, they're ready to go. Like I said, they would have been ground today, but the custom grinder that grinds those, he came in this morning at 5:30 and he injured his back moving some tooling around, so he went to the ER. I got a text this morning at 5:30, so he'll be out for a week. So I will get to personally grind those camshafts for you probably later on today after you take off, or get them knocked out tomorrow and then get them shipped to you. Like I said, my apologies. I was trying to get those things done for you so you didn't have to ship them, but I'll go ahead and pay the freight and get them off to you anyway.
Hey, that's okay. You know, unforeseen things happen, and
Like I said, and you know the hydraulics broke on the other machine, so this has really been a trying week. And I put a rock through the van window last night mowing the lawn, so and I golfed very terribly last weekend.
Oh boy,
it's just it's just a rough week, but we'll power through it. Like I said,
it rains, it falls.
Yes, it's definitely going, but yeah, we had to do a couple lobe you know, the cap welds, the hard face weld on the caps.
Yeah.
We're going with that 270 grind that you requested.
Yep.
And those are a little bit less. One's an MGA.
Or early MGB, you know, 3-main,
Yeah.
1800. Yeah. But, yeah, it's just an extra camshaft I had lying around, and I thought, while I'm here,
You
might
bet.
as well have them sent off and done, you know?
Yeah, so I was hoping that Floyd was going to be here today to grind these, and you could actually see one of your cams being ground
Yeah.
in the machine and see the entire process. But
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah. Well, they cleaned up nice because, boy, they were pretty. This one was pretty crusty.
yeah,
They were
that's
pretty
what,
crusty.
when they put them in the ceramic media tumbler, this probably was in there for a good 45 minutes to an hour
Okay.
or something like that. Usually, like this one is a little bit, you know, it has a little bit darker color to it.
Yeah.
This one is probably in there for 15, 20 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And then when they come out, we wire wheel the threads, clean up, you know, hit the gears and stuff like that, get them all cleaned up.
There's some other manufacturers, especially for MG camshafts and minis and that kind of thing, that can gun drill the end through. So, because you know you have an oil port here,
Correct.
the gun drill, and then you can pressure feed your distributor for your drive for your distributor and oil pump.
Correct.
Is that something you guys can do?
That's nothing that we're set up to do here, but
Okay.
I've seen it done before. I'm not sure how these blocks oil this area. That's a fairly that's fairly technical process to gun drill that bugger.
Yeah.
Usually they'll gun drill it when the camshaft is at a soft steel or a annealed.
Okay.
Otherwise, once they get to this process, they're already hardened,
Yeah.
and that material is a lot harder to cut through.
You know, this type of, you know, they'll gun drill so they can pressure feed this drive is extreme race application, that kind of thing.
Correct.
And they'll even put a hole on the lobes so you get pressure feeding with oil to the lifter buckets, which
Oh.
is pretty interesting too. But
Yeah, I've never seen that.
So-
We have a fixture here that we do that here. Let me see. I don't think there's any done here. Oh yeah, here's one right here. You can barely see it. That little notch,
yeah,
that side notch. That's what we do for our extra oiling on our domestic stuff like that.
yeah,
When this lifter drops down on the base circle part of the cam, this oil band is pressurized,
Yeah.
and it squirts a direct shot of oil to the lobe. So basically, it's the similar concept.
yeah. When you already got oil pressure going to your lifters, that's you know, can be easily done.
Correct.
Where
Yeah, well, you guys aren't pressurized.
no,
Yeah.
we're bringing oil to the top end through the rocker shaft posts and you know, through the block and through the head,
Yeah.
not through the lifter or through the push rod.
Very valuable
a V8
tool.
is.
I'm gonna go over here on the custom grinder cart. This is Dylan. He's been with us 4 years already. Time's flying when we're having a good time, I guess. He's a custom grinder. He does about 95% of the custom domestic stuff. And then Floyd, that he's out today with an injured back. He does a lot of our diesel and antique and industrial camshaft. So it's pretty set up. There's another machine here that I usually grind on. I can come in here and do some orders. This is the one that's got the malfunctioning main cylinder hydraulic fluid issue, and so I have to rip that machine all the way down to bare bones. Get started on it after you do this little lovely interview here. I get to lay down on the ground and get all oily and greasy. So not looking forward to that. So we're going to take a nice long time on the video here.
Hopefully we don't run out of
Memory.
memory.
Yeah,
And
we don't
to
want
switch
that.
phones in process here.
What Dylan was just doing there is checking the existing camshaft lobe separation.
Right.
So what you do is you run it around, and I got it zeroed. I locked the zero in, And I line it up, go until it reaches the peak. Right there. 289. Go over to the exhaust lobe that lines up with it. Same firing order. And then go up. Stops right there. 179 or 78. So that's at 109.
So now we know that the existing core is at 109, and if he's got to move it to 110, he's got to move the intake out a half a degree and the exhaust out a half a degree. And if he's got to cut it down to a 108, he's got to go the other way, narrow it up by a half on each side to get to the 108 required lobe separation.
Now I'm just eyeballing straight up on number 1 intake. Get it close to it. Now it's close to it. Bring the wheel in.
This is called indexing. What he's doing now is lining up the tooling plates to the camshaft. The camshaft is locked in the machine using a driver dog, which is locked into the headstock. So he's gonna, it's called dead wheeling because the wheel's not turned on. See how close he's lining up the tooling to the existing lobe.
Yep. Just kissing that wheel.
Yep, he's barely rolling around. You can leave a little trace pattern on the lobe so you can see how much he's going to grind off it. If we got to manipulate the lobe separation, now he can make the adjustment right now in the headstock to get it moved to where it needs to be. Come in and start grinding it.
I like to get it to straight up and then move it. That way I'm not going too far and then have to come back and fix it.
Okay.
So I try to make sure I'm as close to straight up as possible before I start taking the amount out. Like right there, I thought I was close because it looked close. I was hitting both sides, but then I actually touched it and I was way in the front. So now I know I got to bring it back probably 3 degrees to get it close to that again.
Okay.
Bring it 3 degrees. And since this is a 508, it's reverse rotation.
Yeah.
So I can't go straight to the 2. I have to go to the 3 because the way it is, we don't have an actual plate. Got to run the universal plate. And go 1, 2, 3, 2, and then move it the 127 for the separation between the banks, and then I can grind the other bank. And then I gotta get it to, I think I'm taking this to 112. So I gotta move it this way, figure out the difference, go, and same thing back the other way.
This is, let's see what grind we'll put on this, XM 262 grind. It's a comp duplicate of the Extreme Marine 262. And reverse rotation small block Chevy is different firing order from the regular Chevy, so you can't use the Chevy index plate. You have to use the universal and do the math and work your way down and back.
So this would go in an inboard engine. He says Marine.
Yeah, there's a set of cams. Here's the
This is that guy.
we have the standard rotation cam here, and then with the reverse rotation here. So this guy's buying 2 engines, standard rotation and a reverse. They run them opposed to each other in a boat to maintain balance.
Okay. One turns one way, one turns the other way.
Correct.
Cancels
I'm
out.
not sure if they spin towards each other or away from each other, but
Yeah.
whichever way it is, it's one standard and one reverse. You want matching grinds on, obviously, for matching horsepower. You don't want one engine creating 380 horse and the other one 360. The thing's gonna want to do donuts all day long to the left. But then once he's done grinding it, like this one right here, we'll go down here, get this one prepped. Take the grind slip down here to the quality control area. The business was started in 1977 on a $3,000 loan from my grandfather to my father. My Pops was grinding cams for a company called Pacific Cam back in the 70s. company wasn't doing very well. The owner had a drag racing habit and an ex-wife habit, and the ex-wife ended up breaking up. But so my father knew that the company wasn't going to survive too much longer, so he went out and they made the original camshaft grinding machine out of a piston cutter. I'm not exactly sure. I never did actually see any pictures or anything, but they started grinding 1600 air-cooled Volkswagen camshafts. That was the original camshaft that they started grinding. Once they got the hang of it and figured out what was going on, and then once they did that, then he was like, well, I should be able to do a small block Chevy camshaft. So he pulled the camshaft out of Mom's 69 Nova 307, brought it to the shop, cut tooling from it, same process that we showed you earlier. Then from that, reground the cam, put it back in the car, ran fine. Yeah, that's kind of cool. It worked out pretty well. I got a big block Chevy in my truck, so Pops pulls the cam out of his truck, cuts tooling from it, regrinds it, puts it in, it runs. That's pretty cool. So next Friday night, beer night, playing cards with the buddies. He's like, wait a minute, you got a Chrysler, right? Yeah, cool. So he ended up taking the cam out of the Chrysler, and from that we've evolved. We do everything from 2 horsepower Briggs and Stratton to 10,000 horsepower blown alcohol. And we went from just a couple Masters, now we have over 9,500. This whole wall here is covered with Masters. And down on the other side of the recycling bin, there's a whole other, all those bins are filled full of Masters. I said, if it has a camshaft, basically we're able to regrind it. So, and if we're not able to regrind it, then we can make tooling and then grind it after we make the tooling. So it's really pretty cool to be a part of that. Yeah, now let's go. Oh, forgot the cam here. Got sidetracked. Not that that ever happens. Over here in the quality control area, I'm gonna wipe the cam down to get any grinding residue off it. Check the centers, make sure they didn't get banged up. And then this one over here, make sure that's good to go. Let's check this one right here. Make sure that it didn't get bent during the grinding process. Less than 1,000, so that's good. One of the things that we do here is we check every single hydraulic lobe on every single hydraulic cam. A lot of the larger companies and the billet manufacturers, they'll do spot checking. They'll check one lobe per batch of 50 camshafts. If that one lobe is good, they approve the whole batch. Which is obviously, if one lobe is good by accident and the rest of the batch is bad, those all get boxed and sent out and could possibly be warranty issues. So the OEM says you're allowed up to 3,000 space circle run on the hydraulics. We keep our tolerances down to 2. So if we have 2,000s run out every single day, when we go home, we know that everything we've sent out here in a box is better than OEM specs. So that works out real well. So we're just gonna roll it around here. Check the lobe. You go up the lobe and down the back side. When it seats till it comes around to the other side is what we're checking. Seat to seat. That one's got just a little bit over 2. So if that occurs, I'll check to make sure that this cam is straight. There's 1,000ths there. About 1,000ths there. So let me get this zeroed in. Get that to 0. Come back over here and check it. Less than 2. Right at 2. That's the. Sometimes that'll get bent when you're grinding, and then that'll relay it. If it gets bent while it's grinding, sometimes the lobe will have run out on it. If that's the case, so we zero out the main again to check it, and it's over 2. It'll get rejected, marked with a red pin, and sent back. You'll have to regrind it. So zoom along here real quick to speed up the video process. The reason why we check the baser to run out on a hydraulic camshaft, if the lifter reads more than 2,000ths movement, it starts to think that it's going up the ramp, so it locks tight, and it'll prematurely open up the valve, which will cause runnability issues, low vacuum, poor idle. We're using regular electrical tape to protect the main bearing areas before they go into the parkerizing process. You see how bright and shiny this one is before it goes in there? Go ahead and let me grab this one out of here real quick. Go ahead and sink this one down here. That's a new one we just put in there, but this is another small block Chevy. This is a heat activated. It's called Parco Lubrite, and it's a phosphate coating that is done. It's actually like an etching compound that's indirectly heated, and then it puts this gray finish. You saw how that small block Chevy was shiny? Yep. This one has that gray finish. Underneath the microscope, it looks like little fish scales. And that holds oil for initial break-in, and also prohibits rusting. This thing will rust if it gets wet and sits underwater, but like if we sell it to a Napa store and it sits on their shelf for 2 years, the lobes won't be rusted. The mains will be rusty, possibly from moisture from being up here in the Pacific Northwest, but the lobes themselves will be protected. We're just unwrapping the electrical tape off of the camshaft. This baby is hot. The water, the water's about 180 degrees.
Yeah.
So this baby's smoking. I was trying to hurry up, but yeah. So you want to, like I said, it's heat actuated. And once you get done, once it gets done with the coating process, pull it up out of the rack and we rinse it off in the cold water, fresh rinse, and that stops the parkerizing occurrence.
Yep.
So once you get, I'll take a peek. This has been in there, what, maybe a minute or so?
A couple minutes.
It's just already starting to have a little gray tint to it.
Yep.
So that actually occurs pretty quickly. In the afternoon when the tank is going, it'll probably take about 20 minutes to run.
Okay.
Then from here, put it over here in the Camshaft Polisher. This is the same machine that they use to polish crankshafts. Basically, it's just it's a camshaft rotates this way. The polishing belt runs the opposite direction. This is a 400 grit polishing paper. Yeah, it's a little bit discolored from the tape. Yep. Go ahead and hit this baby. You see how nice and clean the mains are now, ready to go? They've been
Nice and shiny.
Yep, polished, finished up. Check them at the inspection area to make sure there's no damage on them at all. I'll bring them over here. This is the oiling rack. Send her down for the oil. Put in our safety pins. Safety first, the Delta Camshaft. I even got my finger pinched in there one time in high school. I'm like, oh! Yeah, the cord broke, but then you see, dunk it down in the oil there, how clean and very good looking the camshaft is now. And the lobes are completely dialed in, nice good coating on them. The mains are polished to perfection. This is a Cam's 280B replica that we grind here in-house. I'm not sure, Cam's probably gets about $140 for their race cam. We do ours for $60. So a standard kind of rule of thumb is our camshafts ground in-house regrind about half the cost and twice the warranty. Because I personally warranty everything I send out of here. If you eat the lobes off a Cam or any other cam company, they'll tell you don't do that again, and we need your credit card to sell you another cam. We have a 1-year manufacturer's warranty here at Delta Cam, which is basically unheard of in the industry. It's hard to find companies that'll stand behind their products too much. I stand 100% behind ours all day, every day on everything we do. So that works out really well. And from here, just grab the box, put it in the little holder, set the cam down in there. Fold her up, ready to go.
Cool.
That's it.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for your time.
You bet. Yeah, not a problem. If there's any questions that anyone has after you post this video online, feel free to tag me or send the questions over, or simply just give us a call at 1-800-562-5500, or shoot over to our website, deltacam.com, and check out the website there. We don't have a lot of specs posted online. We prefer to deal with everyone on an individual basis, and we're not just a vanilla cam company. We get to talk about your build and get you the camshaft that best suits your needs. So for that reason, it's best to give us a phone call or send an email. Other than that, thank you for coming by. You guys have a great day.